Tonight on the Worldview Report, the gentleman who filmed the killing of Ashley Babbitt on January 6, 2021, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for the crime of being a citizen journalist. Another explosive train derailment, this time in New Mexico. More reports of coming food shortages. And get ready for an LGBTQ love fest at this summer's Olympic Games in Paris. All these stories and more as the Worldview Report begins right now.
This is Worldview Report with host Brannon Howse. Whether it is news from the nation's capital or your state capital, from the classroom to the boardroom, from national security to national and local news that impacts you and your family, Worldview Report is your trusted source for vital and uncensored news. And now, here is Brannon Howse.
Good evening and welcome to the Worldview Report. A Utah man who caught the shooting of Ashley Babbitt on video on January 6 of 2021 was sentenced to 6 years in prison. This happened on Friday, despite his claims that he was at the Capitol as a citizen journalist. Babbitt was a protester and 14-year Air Force veteran who was shot and killed by a United States Capitol police officer during the protest on Capitol Hill. Babbitt was shot trying to enter a secured area inside the U.S. Capitol building the day the Capitol riot took place. She was unarmed at the time and tried to climb through a broken window in a door near the House chamber. Prosecutors claim that John Earl Sullivan, who was convicted on multiple charges, including felony obstruction of an official proceeding and civil disorder, made $90,000 off his video footage of the riot, which included Babbitt's death. Sullivan was heard shouting expletives that encouraged the protesters, according to Axios reports. Sullivan was also convicted of entering or remaining in a restricted building or grounds with a dangerous weapon and disorderly or disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds with a dangerous weapon. This was after he brought a Smith & Wesson pocket knife to the Capitol. That's according to the Justice Department. Babbitt's mother sued the federal government over her daughter's death, alleging she was ambushed. An internal investigation from the Capitol Hill Police Department determined, big surprise folks, that Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd had violated no laws and would not be disciplined for the shooting. On Friday afternoon, a train carrying fuel derailed near the Arizona-New Mexico border. The derailment caused a large explosion and fire, which led to an evacuation of the immediate area and traffic closures, including Interstate 40. The BSNF train derailed at approximately 1:45 Mountain Time. It was carrying gasoline and liquid propane. Authorities ordered evacuations after multiple train cars left the tracks in an explosive pileup. The National Transportation Safety Board said in a statement that was issued on Saturday, quote, "The preliminary information we have is the train derailed at least 22 cars, including multiple propane tank cars," end quote. 2 of the tank cars, well, they caught fire. And on Friday night, BSNF personnel, they were working to clear the site as safely as possible. That's according to a company statement. And the cause of the derailment, well, it is under investigation. InfoWars notes that in recent years, there has been an intense focus on derailments and the state of our U.S. infrastructure, with suggestions that some of the derailments might be deliberate. Recently, Norfolk Southern, they settled and gave a payment for damages for the catastrophic derailment that took place last year at East Palestine. That was in Ohio, if you remember. The company agreed to pay $600 million in a class action settlement. In terms of economic news, here's something that's perhaps more concerning. The Daily Huddle reports that China has sold more than $74 billion in U.S. Treasuries in the last year. That's according to new numbers from the Treasury Department. China, well, they have decreased their Treasury holdings from $849 billion to $775 billion between the beginning of the second quarter of 2023 and the second quarter of 2024. And that's, well, meaning that they have now reached the lowest holding since 2009. Other countries let go of smaller amounts of treasuries over the last quarter, which includes India. India selling $1.4 billion, Brazil unloading $1.2 billion, and Saudi Arabia shedding $0.3 billion. The new data comes as Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, says that Russia and China have almost completely stopped using the dollar in their mutual trade. According to Lavrov, more than 90% of settlements between the countries are now carried out in their own national currencies, with their economic cooperation accelerating, quote, despite persistent attempts by Western countries to prevent this, end quote. That's according to Bloomberg. Lavrov said last year that CIS, which is Commonwealth of Independent States or countries formerly part of the Soviet Union, have grown their trade flows by a sizable chunk without complying with the U.S. demands. Lavrov, who was appointed by Russian President Vladimir Putin in 2004, says that CIS countries are already working together with further agreements that will, quote, give an impetus for further expansion of economic interaction, end quote. Former New York Giants offensive lineman Corey Cunningham died suddenly and unexpectedly at the age of 28, so reports ESPN. Cunningham's body was discovered in his home last Thursday. No cause of death has been released. The Giants released a statement saying, quote, we are saddened to hear of the passing of Corey Cunningham. He was a vital part of the spirit and camaraderie of the locker room. Our thoughts are with Corey's family, friends, and teammates, end quote. That's what CBS News reported. The Clifton Police Department said that no foul play is suspected at this time. That's according to ESPN. The 6'6", 311-pound offensive lineman was known for his upbeat personality and a big laugh. He was a favorite among teammates during his years with the Giants. The news was met with shock and sadness on Friday morning, with several teammates posting about Cunningham's death. Cunningham signed with the Arizona Cardinals in 2019 after the team picked him as a 7th-round pick out of the University of Cincinnati. We'll be right back after this break.
Markets are getting crazy, and now is the time to protect yourself from economic turmoil. Silver is in the headlines right now and creating lots of excitement as the price of silver is extremely attractive compared to gold. A call to Swiss America gets you the scoop on whether the silver opportunity is for real. What you'll discover will really blow your mind. Today, silver faces a huge shortage due to the rising demand by military, solar, electric cars, and computers, all of which depend on silver. But right now, silver is priced to sell according to worldwide experts. Now, to help you get started, Swiss America is offering beautiful United States Walking Liberty half dollars, issued by the U.S. Mint from 1916 to 1947 and minted in 90% pure silver for a special introductory price. Limit of $250 per customer while supplies last. So call the number on your screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, because now is the time to rediscover silver.
Welcome back from the break. Thank you for joining us tonight and every night. And thank you for remembering you really are our biggest sponsor. And if you would like to help keep this broadcast going and pushing it out for free to anyone that wants to watch as a public service, education, and ministry broadcast, then we need your support. WVWFoundation.com is one way you can do that. WVWFoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. Remember, it takes a team of about 7 of us, 15 man-hours a day, to put this broadcast together. And we push it all out for free. Many different outlets pick it up. Of course, it has its home at worldviewtube.com, my network. It also airs at patriot.tv, Brighteon, Band.video, TV30 in Milwaukee. Lots of outlets pick it up, and we let them pick it up absolutely free of charge. As I said, as a broadcast service, broadcast educational program, and ministry program. Our biggest sponsor is our foundation, WVWFoundation.com. So thank you for your support, WVWFoundation.com. top European Union leader, is speaking out boldly against the global campaign to inject every human being with toxic mRNA drugs as, quote, the biggest crime to ever have been committed on mankind, end quote. The explosive statement was made by MEP Kristen Anderson, who represents Germany in the European Union Parliament. Anderson dropped the hammer of the globalist COVID mRNA shot agenda during an interview with reporter Anita Krishna. Anderson told Krishna that the global rollout of mRNA COVID injections will go down, quote, as the biggest medical scandal ever, end quote. Quote, it will be known as the biggest crime to have ever been committed on mankind, end quote. That's what she warned. Watch this.
It's just the audacity with which they do this. I mean, they are elected officials. And in a democracy, you have to act on behalf of the people, and you have to act in their best interest. But that's not happening anymore. It really isn't. They serve all kinds of interests, especially in the last 3 years. We've seen they were, pretty much serving the interest of pharmaceutical companies, coming up with this, ridiculous mRNA shot, calling it vaccine. And they had no regard and no concern for the safety of the people they were injecting with that stuff for by the millions and billions. Mm-hmm. So that is a completely new quality of atrocity that they reached at this point. And it's
Isn't it
dire
amazing?
Circumstances.
It's amazing how they're just kind of all doing it. And
they are.
It's scary.
Yeah, they are.
And
it is. And the most scary part about this is they seem to be reading all from the same script. It's the terms they used, build back better, safe and effective, and no one is safe until everyone is safe. Mm-hmm. But these are just words. They're flaunting around, but what do they mean by no one is safe until everyone is safe? Mm-hmm. So obviously it means, well, until everyone got the injection. But is anyone safe with that mRNA shot? I don't think so. And what we've seen up until now, and there is still more to come, we're finding out more and more every day. And I've said that before, and I will say it again. This whole vaccination campaign, it will go down into the medical books as the biggest medical scandal ever. And yes, it will be known as the biggest crime to ever have been committed on mankind.
Reading all from the same script, indeed. And he was quoting Klaus Schwab there, who famously said, quote, no one is safe until everyone is vaccinated, end quote. That was the first clue that what they were promoting was not a vaccine at all. Because if a person is vaccinated against a disease, that should not, cause us to have to worry about catching the disease from an unvaccinated person. That's the very purpose of a so-called vaccine, right? This was not a vaccine, as we know. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. And as a result, young people, sadly, are dying in droves. Young, healthy young people. And yes, it is a crime against humanity of unimaginable size and scope. Wine Press News reports that Boston Dynamics has been working for 32 years to create humanoid robots that can take the place of humans in society. Meet Atlas, your new fully electric factory and warehouse with employees. The company had envisioned its new Atlas as a point person in search and rescue operations. It reportedly can lift weights that most humans can't and can also twist and bend in ways humans cannot, turning its knees backwards and rotating its head and torso independently in complete circles. Now, It sees Atlas doing the grunge work in warehouses and factories, toting oddly shaped, clumsy, and heavy loads from, well, hither to yonder. Boston Dynamics has built, quote, the power of an elite athlete into this tiny package, end quote. That's what it boasted in a press statement, as well as reinforcement learning, computer vision, and other necessities. The company has paired Atlas with its Orbit software, which can manage its fleet of Atlas robots working alongside humans. The software makes use of machine learning and brings, quote, impactful AI to market immediately, end quote. That's what the press release says. Boston Dynamics, well, they're owned by Hyundai Motor Corp and will test Atlas in Hyundai factories and a few other select locations to tweak its performance before putting the robot on the market. Meanwhile, the company is working on an expanded set of grippers and other options for Atlas. Amazon, BMW, and other companies that make and move things, well, they're also putting money into Atlas-like robots. A recent meta-analysis from Harvard University, funded by the National Institutes of Health, has revealed concerning data about the impact of fluoride on children's intelligence. The research shows that children living in areas with high fluoride concentrations in their drinking water have, quote, significantly lower, in quote, IQ scores than those in areas with low fluoride levels. This is just the latest of many studies that challenge the long-held belief by public health authorities that fluoride is completely safe for children. The prevailing public narrative still endorses fluoride as a harmless and beneficial substance to prevent cavities in the teeth of children. Yet, this study from Harvard suggests otherwise. Fluoride is a toxic industrial waste product and may actually be a neurotoxin that is harmful to the brains of children, particularly brains that are in development. And of course, this is at much lower levels than previously understood to be harmful to adults. The significant difference between the new scientific findings and existing public health policies, well, it's creating a trust gap with potential global community implications. Comprehensive review of 27 studies over 22 years consistently indicates a negative correlation between high fluoride exposure and children's IQ, a pattern that has been observed globally. Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne recently appeared in an interview with Newsmax in which she stated that the Biden regime's open borders is a systematic restructuring of our political system, with the goal being a one-party state with total control over the U.S. population. It's all about power and control. Watch this.
With us now, Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. She joins us now. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, man. Watching that clip, I get so mad. I mean, this is why we impeached Mayorkas. He continues to lie to the American people. Are you kidding me? What could you do that wouldn't be challenged? Get rid of your catch and release program that's already been found to be detrimental. Stop with your mass parole that's in direct violation with the law. Go back to the Remain in Mexico policy. Those are just three things right off the top of my head that this administration could do right now with no further laws that they're the ones who put into place, took away the executive orders that were under the Trump administration that were working to secure our border. Right there, Mayorkas, do that. But he's not going to, because that's not their focus. That's not what they're interested in.
They refuse to do the job. They're incentivizing this invasion, which has now basically become a takeover. Already 169 people on the terror watch list just this year alone were busted at the border. Again, God only knows how many others got in. Drugs are pouring in. We're seeing record number of drug poisoning, sex traffickers. It's up about 600%. I saw one estimate there. Congresswoman, this is a humanitarian crisis, it's a national security crisis, and it's aided and abetted by our own president. This is insane.
He's partnering with the Mexican cartels. He's basically given them control over our southern border. When you look at these rushes that are coming up, there's a reason why they're doing this. The Mexican cartels are organizing these rushes at our border so that they can have the Customs and Border Patrol have to function here at this area while they have getaways going in over here. And the people who they are having as getaways, I mean, we're talking about hardcore criminals. We're talking about sex trafficker, drug cartel members, terrorists that are joining other terrorist cells that are already in our country. This is what's happening under the Biden regime. And they're allowing it. They're not even concerned, as you mentioned, about the 100,000 plus people who have died as a result of fentanyl poisoning, the 11 million people who have come to our country illegally. They don't care, because what is happening is they are having these folks go to areas that have lost populations with people voting with their feet because they're sick of those policies that they have in these liberal areas. So they're having them repopulate. So when the census...
Well stated by that Congresswoman. The United Kingdom is facing dire food shortages, and experts predict that this is only the beginning. According to a report by The Guardian, extreme weather is wreaking havoc on crops across the region. England experienced more rainfall during the past 18 months than it has over any 18-month period since record-keeping began in 1836. Because the rain hasn't stopped, many farmers have been unable to get crops such as potatoes and carrots and wheat into the field. Farmers have also planted fewer potatoes, opting for less weather-dependent and financially secure crops. At the same time, many of the potatoes that have been planted are rotting in the ground. British Growers Association, the CEO for that company, Jack Ward, well, he told The Guardian, quote, "There is a concern that we won't ever have the volumes of potatoes we had in the past in the future. We are not in a good position, and it is 100% not sustainable," end quote. English farmers, well, they're not alone. Farmers are struggling to grow crops worldwide. Of course, The Guardian is a left-wing British news outlet. And they put, well, the blame on climate change, of course. Well, we know bad weather, well, it's always been a challenge for farmers since the dawn of time. But the real problem, as we all know, is government policies. Policies that punish, well, efficiency in food production. In fact, according to an ABC News report, the strain on the agricultural industry will likely continue to cause food prices keep going up. Drone footage from Sulphur, Oklahoma, the day after a tornado struck. It is very tragic and it is very heartbreaking. The entire town, well, has basically been wiped off the map. Almost no building was left untouched, and the vast majority have been completely destroyed. At least 3 people were killed. But frankly, when you look at the footage, it's hard to believe that more bodies won't be found in the twisted rubble. Watch this. So please pray for these folks and those in several other towns who were hit by this massive wave of tornadoes that broke out on Friday and Saturday. Well, that does it for this edition of the Worldview Report. Thank you for watching this broadcast. We sure appreciate it, and we appreciate your support. Well, one way I think you can support us and your health at the same time is by doing what Melissa and I do. We take this elixir every day. It's, well, an elixir that contains 3 powerful ingredients. Astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is loaded with antioxidants, crosses the brain-blood barrier. You should check it out. It also contains collagen. We need collagen for our hair, our eyes, skin, flexibility of our joints and tendons. It includes something called cat's claw that comes from a bark on a vine in Peru. It's an anti-inflammatory. When you put these 3 ingredients together, you get this elixir. You can find out full details, including reading the nearly 80 clinical trials on it at melissahousebg.com. Get a subscription like Melissa and I have. We get it at our door. We don't have to worry about forgetting to order because we have an automatic subscription. Recently, we went out of town as I had to give a speech, as you know, at Lake of the Ozarks for the Reagan's Day dinner. And of course, we brought these along with us because we do not want to miss one day. And if you don't set up a subscription, you're going to get busy and you're going to forget. And you don't want to forget because, again, if If you get the results Melissa and I have gotten from this, you do not want to miss even one day. So again, go to melissahousebg.com, read the nearly 80 clinical trials, save money by setting up a subscription and having it show up at your door automatically. This is not a joke, folks. You don't get 80 clinical trials for nothing. melissahousebg.com. Then we swish with this twice a day. This is Numi. And in this product is what is called glutathione. Glutathione is a powerful, powerful detoxer of our cells. Again, you don't have to take my word for it. In fact, I don't want you to take my word for it. Go put into a search engine the benefits of glutathione. And then check this out, Neumi.com/house1. That's Neumi.com/HOWSE and the number 1. Neumi.com/house and the numeral 1. And then finally, don't forget about the wellness company. This is the company my buddy Dr. Peter McCullough's with and Dr. James Thorpe. This includes 8 crucial medications. 8 crucial medications. You should have 1 or 2 of these on hand for every family member, just in case there was an interruption in our just-in-time inventory and the pharmaceuticals that you might need to get if a family member gets sick. If you go to twc.health/Brannon to find out what the 8 meds are and what they treat, and if you use that URL to order, you'll save money. twc.health/Brannon, twc.health/Brannon. Thank you for supporting our broadcast and yourself in those ways. Well, that is our broadcast for tonight. Thank you for watching and for telling your friends about all the programs available on demand at worldviewtube.com. Till next time, I'm Brannon Howse. May God save America. Take care.